Today, we remember our friend and beloved Fox News commentator, Charles Krauthammer. He passed away after a long fight with cancer.
Last night here on the Fox News Channel, Special Report ended their program with that empty chair where he sat for more than a decade.
The Pulitzer Prize winner, a best-selling author, inspiring millions with his insights and wisdom across the political spectrum. You got Vice President Mike Pence weighing in already. Charles Krauthammer, he tweets, will long be remembered for his eloquence, his triumph in hardship, and his countless contributions to American political thought. Karen and I send our condolences, prayers to his family and friends during this difficult time.
Former President George W. Bush issuing a statement saying, quote, Laura and I are deeply saddened by the loss of an intellectual giant and dear friend, Charles Krauthammer. For decades, Charles's words have strengthened our democracy. His words were far-reaching and influential. And while his voice will be deeply missed, his ideas and values will always be a part of our country.
Charles Krauthammer leaves behind his beloved wife, Robin, of more than 40 years, and his son, Daniel. He was 68 years old.
You know, so many times you write a book, and when the book comes out, you want it to be successful. For us, I think we benefited the most when he wrote his book. Because we got a chance to see him countless times, because the book stayed #1, top 3. So he's like, I'm going to keep this going.
Right.
So he came back and forth, which wasn't easy. Number of times, we had a chance to interview him at length, talk to him for a long time, and we got to see what the D.C. Bureau saw on a daily basis. His insight, his kindness, and his intellect.
All these pictures were taken at a book signing or a book party that we had here at Fox for him, just to congratulate him on the success. The book is called The Things That Matter, 3 Decades of Passions, Pastimes, and Politics. Just the title alone is wonderful. The Things That Matter. I'm sure it will hit the charts again. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for 10 weeks. Actually, it was on the list for 40 weeks. It was #1 for 10 weeks.
It sold a lot because people loved what he had to write. We love to have him on our program, and we put together just a little bit of him with us on this day after he died. Charles Krauthammer, get his book. It's fantastic. I read it twice.
I write in the book, one of the reasons why I shifted is because on foreign policy, the Democrats changed, I didn't. They don't want targeted solutions. They want to take stuff over. Congratulations on your book.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Challenging me right up there.
I am not challenging you.
If you're a columnist, you get graded on the curve. But selling books, they keep score. You get numbers every day.
You love it.
It's like a basketball game. You know, I'm in the corner, the clock is running down, and I go for the three-point shot.
Charles Krauthammer, thanks so much. We went right to all your areas of expertise.
Yeah.
Rarely been done before.
Except baseball.
In the letter that he issued a few weeks ago, or I guess it was probably 2 weeks ago, right? He said he leaves life with no regrets, sad to leave this life, but leaves with knowledge that he lived the life that he intended, grateful to play a role in conversations that have helped shape this nation.
And a typical Charles Krauthammer answer to a common question. People would say, so how do you become a columnist? And he'd go, well, first you go to medical school, which he did.
Good luck.
And he was great. And in those, you know, we all got to interview him. And I've got to admit, even though we've done this for a very long time, he is one of the few people who, when you are going to ask him a question, you are worried whether or not it's a good question.
That's right.
Because you think
so
he's going to think that's a dumb question.
Right.
But you know what? At the end of the interview, he was always so polite and so kind, and whatever we asked, he loved to answer.
He had an older brother that he was with constantly, he said. He said his dad wouldn't take second best. He wanted him to learn everything that he could. And he said the first time he did a TV interview, his dad called him afterwards and he said, well done, son, you did great, but why didn't they call you doctor? Because you went to medical school. You earned that title. I guess they called him Mr. Krauthammer.
Yeah, and he said when he came out, it became clear to everybody that he was in a wheelchair. Most people did not know, including me for years, that he was, until I met him in person. And he said, you know, it was a tough decision when they did the hour special with Brett, because he said, I knew after that everyone would know.
Right.
And for a while he went to great pains to make sure people just listened to who he, you know, what he was saying, not what he was going through since the age of 22.
Well, he said he was was never going to let himself get down. He said, I knew instantly as soon as I hit the bottom of that swimming pool that I was going to be paralyzed.
Right.
And he said, I made a decision. I'm not an emotional person. I remember him saying that in that special that he did with Brett. He said, I'm not an emotional person. I just said, I've got to move forward. I'm not going to have a victim mentality, and I'm just going to get my work done.
And he was paralyzed from the neck down, spent his entire life in a wheelchair. And I remember outside a Washington Nationals game one night, walking up, and suddenly this van zooms by, had to step back, and said to Peter Doocy, who was that? And he goes, that was Charles Krauthammer. He just about ran over us. He didn't really about run over us, but a lot of people didn't realize that he could drive, and he drove all over.
He loved the Nationals. They remembered him at the park yesterday.
Yeah.
After he passed away.
With a moment of silence.
He ended up marrying the love of his life. He met her in Oxford. He got accepted into Harvard Medical School. He said, I'm going to defer for a while. He went over the pond and met his wife at Oxford, and they came back here and have a son.
That's right. And we've got a lot of the images from his life, and it was a great life. And we're going to share those with you in about 20 minutes.
And if Charles Krauthammer was on our couch, he'd be talking about immigration and the showdown on our nation's capital, not only politically, but what's happening on our border. The House postponing a critical vote on immigration and the compromise bill. First it was till today, and now it's till next week.
That is the First Lady made a surprise visit to a detention center for migrant children down in Texas.
That's where Griff Jenkins joins us live from with the very latest down in McAllen. Hey, Griff.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, the First Lady braved really vicious storms down here that continue today to be with the migrant children in the shelter behind me. She came with the HHS Secretary, and she met with not only the children, but also the staff here. And here's what she had to say.